welcome to LawWiser. Today we have with us a very special guest. We have with us today Priyanka, who is the COO of Manupatra. She's been a core part of their journey for the past 20 odd years. And today I'm going to ask her some really interesting questions about legal tech, about innovation, disruption, about alternate careers in law, and so much more. So a very warm welcome, Priyanka, to LawWiser.
Thank you so much, Lavanya, and looking forward to this conversation today.
So I'm going to jump right into it because we have lots to talk about. So my first question is, so Manupatra started back in 2000, I believe, and now it's 21, 22 years. So I just want to understand, how has the journey been from there to, online legal research, to the CD-ROM days, and now, AI enabled software, and there is so much more that, you guys have done. So, looking back, are there any very, key moments or milestone moments where, you took some decisions that have really contributed to where Manupatra is today? If you can share a bit with us, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, extremely interesting because, these 21 years it's been about decisions all the way. Big and small. Some have worked, some have not, and of course we continue to plow our way through. So while 2000, Manupatra was conceived as an online legal database, and we have pretty much done a reverse engineering, because we started with online, we moved on to CD-ROM, we moved into print, we got out of print, we got out of CD-ROM, and then we stuck around with what we had started to do. So the decision was, initially when we started the online database, those were the times of desktop machines and dial-up internet connections, right? So I still remember going there in Bombay and Delhi were the two markets, which were willing to adapt. And so I still remember that, people we would be making a demo, and suddenly there would be an incoming call, and then the connection would get cut. So those were the times that we started off with. So somewhere along in 2003 is when we realized that, we have the content. Internet penetration was definitely not as good. It was still rather slow, which was happening. The dial-up was an issue because people were calculating the cost of the subscription, the cost of the internet bills, which were coming at the end of the month. So that's when we said that yes, we could get into a CD-ROM market. And so that was the first decision. And with when we launched a CD-ROM suite of products, there were certain new things that we did. One, we said that, someone say, for example, someone who's in Karnataka, the lawyer there is not looking at, case laws for rest of the high courts. So we said we will give them the option of just buying what they want, which would typically be the Supreme Court and the local high court, right? So that was one of the first things that we did, which really worked wonders for us. The second thing, because with CD-ROM you needed a huge on-the-ground support, that's when we kind of we started 8 offices simultaneously. So the call was simple, because we said that wherever there is a high court, we will have an office in that particular city. So from CD-ROM, we were doing CD-ROMs, we were being seen, but we were still not seen as a serious player, because traditionally, if you were not in print, you were not really seen as an authentic player in the industry. So that's when we decided to foray into print, and our foray was marked with the acquisition of Bombay Law Reporter, which was started in 1895. Right. So thereafter, in fact, for about 5 years, we had a huge print team. We were publishing journals, which were daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthlies. We got into multiple acquisitions. So the complete corporate law titles, taxation titles. So there was this whole print thing that we were doing. But of course, we knew that why we were in print, and as expected, the print subscription was plateauing. So that's when we took a decision, and then we started to slowly get out of print. And so between 2005 till 2011, Manupatra was into online, CD, and print, all of it. And then we got out of print. Then we slowly got out of CDs, and then we have stuck to what we are here for. Which is bringing technology and digital to the profession of law. And so starting off with legal research, along the way, we got into e-learning. Then we launched something called Case Watch, which is essentially for automation of case tracking. And our latest has been the enterprise mobility solution, which is MyCase, which offers various solutions. So that pretty much has been the journey for us.
Great, thank you so much. My second question is, when you started, Manupatra, when it all began, there was no legal tech. Like now, legal tech is the buzzword, and everyone is talking about it. But it wasn't like that 20 years back. And then with the evolution of technology, of course, the legal sector is slowly but surely evolving. So I want to understand from you. You have such deep experience in this space and at the intersection, like you said, of technology and law. What are some of the requirements or solutions that are really the need of the hour for this sector? And if you could comment on the evolution of legal tech, so to say, in that context.
So you're right. I mean, legal tech is a rather recent buzzword. I think, especially in the last, I think around 2012 onwards, when there's been a sprint in the the legal tech startups. Way back in 2000, I think the pivots were internet and the World Wide Web. And for the legal industry, I think evolution, if we simply go, of course, I think it was the late 1990s when the print publishers started to basically distribute the print journals over CD-ROMs. After that, 2000 is when, which is when Manupatra pioneered online legal research, and so that era started with searchable digital databases. With so in fact, the earlier searches that we offered were Boolean and proximity search and field search. That was the first, those are the first that we introduced. Thereafter, of course, the search itself has evolved completely, so we moved to smart search, natural language processing, and now, of course, we have AI, ML, which have been incorporated. You have visualization, you have analytics, all of it. On the other hand, what also happened was, I think between 2005 and 2010, with the legal news, online legal news portals, whether it was Legal India or Bar and Bench, which started off. Then we saw legal recruitment move online. So whether they were verticals or they were even horizontals, which had special industry legal focus groups within their horizontal portal. We then did see a lot of marketplaces emerge, wherein in terms of getting the clients and the lawyers together. More recently, if you see, even the kind of you have these innovation centers which are promoting justice innovation, whether it is Agami, you have incubation centers like Praram. So I mean, there has been a complete evolution. So from very clearly we move from legal technology, from providing simple solutions to complex solutions. That is the spectrum that we're looking at. If we talk about today, I think the contemporary areas of legal tech focus would be the marketplace platforms which connect clients to the lawyers, client relationship management CRM tools, contract management, compliance, data and contract analytics is another thing which is largely required. We're looking at law practice optimization. So the practice management tools, which would cover things like matter management, document management, knowledge management, expense or spend or invoice. We are looking at legally binding digital signatures, maybe automation of legal writing and other substantive aspects as well of legal practice. E-learning is huge. So I think these are few of the areas which are required today and which are already being used in small or big ways. But one sees that more and more practices and more lawyers would be adopting these and using these going forward in the next couple of years.
So Priyanka, my next question is, since we've been talking about the legal tech sector, what do you think, what is the future of legal tech and how are things shaping up? And not just in India, maybe if you also have, globally have kind of noticed any trend. And adding to that, I also want to ask you, how do you feel that, lawyers, practicing lawyers and legal tech innovators can work more closely together to contribute to the, growth of the industry and to come up with better and more innovative solutions?
So I think on the product side, if we talk about legal tech, any product that is backed by technology, which solves a problem and is easy to use, should be the focus for research and development, because those are, those solutions are definitely what the practitioners are going to be looking at. The practices, the organizations are obviously under the, they are trying to work in a blended model. They are under the pump to, kind of improve efficiency, cut down costs. And these solutions, which are, which legal tech would offer, are going to help the practices achieve many of these objectives. In terms of the lawyer community or the legal industry per se, I think legal tech is now part of the. If it is, it would only be right to say that it is part of the paradigm of practicing law for the lawyers, and not being abreast is no longer an option, right? Because your clients would expect that the lawyers that they're dealing with will will have complete knowledge of the technical tools which are being used, right? So it is also becoming a yardstick for a competitive advantage that you can create. In fact, practices which will not move and flex and adapt, maybe they would be single practitioners, or there will be more tech savvy lawyers or practices which will kind of push them out. So to that extent, legal tech information, legal tech knowledge is required. If you look at international bar associations, they have they have made legal tech as an ethical requirement now, right? So we are moving towards that. We are moving towards that direction. In terms of, if you really look at India, I mean, very recently there have been a lot of conversations which are around changing the curriculum to include legal technology as part of the curriculum, right? But while we all know that those are systemic changes and that would take a long time to come about, but while we are at this point, I think the young lawyers, the law students, I think they should realize that they should at their own end, they should start adding to their knowledge base and their repertoire, right? And since because of the pandemic, there is so much of information which is now available, whether it is by way of webinars or workshops, or you have luminaries who are coming and talking about it, which had earlier one did not have an access to, till you actually went and attended one of those round tables and discussions, etc. Now, because all of that is out there and majority of it is free, right? So I think every individual should make the most out of it. So that is where we are headed towards the legal tech space. Answering a third question as to how better innovation can happen, I think we are seeing a lot of generally everything we are talking disciplinary education is kind of gaining momentum across. Within law also, we are seeing law and tech, we are seeing law and design, law and forensics, law and management, right? So it's just that the lawyers also now need to kind of start to think that these are going to be hybrid teams that we will be working with. It can't be pure lawyers. Law professionals per se will need to kind of have a more proactive approach than a reactive approach, a more client servicing approach rather than me myself kind of an approach, right? So the moment there are multidisciplinary workforce which comes together, I think we are definitely looking for innovations. The current trend that we're looking at is wherein design thinking is suddenly happening and everyone is talking about it and it's being used. Something as simple as a privacy policy wherein design has been incorporated to make it more understandable. So those are the starting points.
Thank you so much. That's really interesting. I think actually some of these themes I hope to speak to you in detail about more, maybe at a later time.
Anytime.
So definitely going to have that conversation. From there, I want to move on to actually talk about MyCase, which is a fairly recent software, like a solution that Manupatra has launched, and I believe it's a practice management software. If you could just tell us a bit about what that solution is. And secondly, I wanted to understand, was this an outcome in a way of the pandemic? Was there more of a need felt for something like this, or is this something that was already in the offing, something you guys were already ideating about?
So MyCase is essentially, it's a web-based SaaS platform, which is, as you rightly said, it's a practice management tool, which essentially intends to create more collaboration between the legal teams, whether they are a corporate legal department or legal teams within a law firm practice, right? This was not the result of the pandemic. This was actually, we started working on the MyCase product in 2019. And in fact, May 2020 is when we did our first trial run in the market with one of the live customers. So yes, I mean, what the pandemic did was that it basically, it put the pressure on us to go really out and fast with it. why MyCase was conceived was that, over all these years, 18, 19 years, we have been meeting prospects and clients, and during various conversations and meetings, one did see what are the pain points which practices were, or the pain points or the gaps which were there in operations. And so when we started off MyCase, what we were trying to develop was a single platform, through which, right from the time that you intake a client to the time that the matter is disposed of in whichever way, right, everything stays in one on one platform. The idea was also to, because over the last 10 years, there have been so many tools and apps and softwares which have come up and which are being used, right? Which are also in a way good because that helped the lawyers, get more familiar with technology or use of digital. So our focus was that users should not have to jump from tool to tool or software to software. You do everything from one, on one platform, and everyone is on the same page. So end-to-end visibility, transparency for everyone who's involved on a particular matter, and everything in one place was the basic, foundation on which we built it. We conceived MyCase. So MyCase today, basically, we have three solutions. One is for litigation management, so which basically is end-to-end visibility on a litigation matter which is there. So right from the time that you, as I said, you intake a client to the matter closes, which could take few months, few years, whatever it is, and after that you basically archive the matter and it stays within the dashboard again for easy accessibility. The second is a solution for the corporate legal department specifically. So corporate legal teams, for them, it all begins because their clients are the internal departments. So for them, the journey begins with a request coming from the next department. So it starts from request management, and thereafter, whether it is a litigation matter or non-litigation matter, so the entire life cycle is maintained, on the MyCase. And when I say entire life cycle, which basically means managing all the aspects of the matter, whether are the team members, the tasks related to the matter which have been done, which could be as as basic as having a meeting to drafting to reviewing to research, whatever. All documents are being managed. Any kind of expenses are being managed for that matter. All communication, right? So whether it is through a chat, so MyCase comes with an integrated chat. So all communication is threaded to a particular matter. So at any point of time, anyone who's looking at it, they have an entire history. They are not jumping from inbox to inbox or trying to, figure out where is the information, what is the information, which is the latest information. You just open it, you open the matter, and you have all the verticals through which you can see all the aspects of a particular matter. The third is the notice management. So that is actually for even a single lawyer who is issuing notices or receiving notices. So all notices, right from the from sending, receiving, replies, rejoinders, and in case it goes into litigation, right? So all of that is again being managed to the dashboard. So effectively, yes, MyCase, if I was to summarize, it's a law practice management tool. Wherein you have solutions for lawyers and law firms, for corporate legal departments, and for managing notices today.
Great, thank you so much. I have one question for you before you go. And I want to actually talk a bit about, the options, the career options for law graduates today. It's so interesting that both of us are non-lawyers and, we're within the legal industry and, and of course, you've been around for 2 decades now. What are some of the options now for non-traditional roles, for law graduates? Anyway, it's been 2 difficult years now, and law students who are passing out are struggling. But if you could help us understand, I mean, there's so much more they can do now, but coming from you, it would, it would be really interesting if you could share that.
I think legal career is seeing, sea changes again. I mean, apart from the fact that law as an education and the options thereafter have there's so many lucrative options today from what they were about even 10 years back. I mean, there's so many new roles. One, I think digital marketing has opened up a plethora of options. So right from digital marketing to content writing is huge. Within content writing, again, there are so many options: long form, short form, blog, etc. Social listening. So legal journalism. Earlier you would look up a newspaper, there would be, 2 or 3 pieces of news across the entire newspaper. Today, I think it's the other way around. Each page has at least 50 to 60% of news which is related to law, courts, policy, regulations, etc. So legal journalism, legal operations is becoming big. Business development within the legal industry, uh, product development. With so many of legal tech, so many startups, product development is another huge area which is opening up. E-learning is again big, and I think e-learning as a concept is just here to stay. And I think at some point, continuing legal education is we feel. I mean, it should become mandatory. It should actually. That's our view as well. So I think e-learning as such will give many options. Even within the academics, the options are not only about teaching today. Whether it is administration, whether it is counseling, there are so many options. So I think once you have, if you're really sorted in your head that yes, you want to go the litigation route or the corporate law firm or one of the traditional roles, if you just want to go and have post your 12th, if you want to have an all-round education, I feel law as a curriculum is great because it gives you very well-rounded experience. And I personally feel that at the end of your 3-year or 5-year law degree, you can actually decide after that what is it that you want to do. I mean, you go for management, you go. I mean, if you're a science graduate, you go for you have BSc LLB, BCom LLB, BBA LLB. So the options are just huge. If you're doing law today, it just does not have to be only about law any longer.
That was really interesting, Priyanka. Thank you so much. It was I really enjoyed our conversation today, and I really hope that we're going to have you back on LawWiser again very, very soon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lavanya, and it's been great. And yeah, look forward to talk to you soon.